Hello to everyone, welcome back to my channel YouTube science.manuela, and I'm Dr. Manuela Marescotti. This is a new episode of my series of videos about scientific publishing world, and in particular today I have interviewed Dr. Jo Young. Jo is a person that I've been known since 2008, since I started my PhD. She was a postdoc back then, and in particular I talked with her about her company Electv, where she provides professional training for university people, researchers in different universities. And I spoke to her in particular about the training, about the world of scientific writing and scientific publishing. This video can be very useful if you are either a person looking for this kind of courses within your universities, since often a formal training is not provided about scientific writing and publishing, but this video is also useful if you are a person that is thinking to approach a career related to scientific publishing, but from the point of view of training researchers, academics about this aspect. Enjoy the video. Bye.
Thank you very much for being with us, with me today to talk Jo Young. I'm interviewing Jo Young, that actually is a person that I've known not through scientific publishing. We have known each other for a long time. Since I started my PhD, and she was a postdoc at the University of Edinburgh, and I was very much interested in learning more about her experience in training university people about scientific writing and publishing. So thank you very much for being here today. Okay, so to start with, I would like to give some context about yourself. Which is your university education? So in this way, we put you in a...
Sure. Thank you very much for inviting me, Manuela, and I'm delighted to be talking to you today. So yes, as you said, we've known each other many years, decades, in fact. So a little bit about me. So my background, big fan of the University of Edinburgh because I did my entire academic career there. I did my first degree in microbiology. I then did a 4-year MSc PhD program, my MSc in informatics, PhD in neuroscience and informatics. And then I went directly into a 3.5-year postdoctoral position in neuroscience and informatics at the University of Edinburgh again. Worked with a few different PIs along those stages though. After my postdoc, I very nearly went on to do a fellowship. So I applied for and was offered a fellowship in Germany, but I actually chose to turn that down in the end and to stay here in Edinburgh, where I still live today, and start my training company. And that was back in 2011 that I started my training company. And it's called Electv Training, and we deliver training to researchers at universities all around the UK and Europe in subjects like scientific writing and publishing and other professional development activities. So I don't do research anymore, but I meet lots of researchers, which is fun for me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think this can be also from, point of views, like maybe also logical, path, because sometimes you do an experience as a research and then you support researchers with this training. So, Jo, you, of course, as you mentioned, you provide different kind of trainings. It's just that since I talk about scientific publishing and writing, I wanted to focus on this aspect. And so I would say, why do you think to include these kind of topics within the training courses that you provide?
Yeah, it's like really good questions. So one of the things I found as a researcher a long time ago, of course, good 15 years ago really now, but one of the things that I found was that we were required to write quite a lot. It's a big part of an academic career and beyond that as well. We're asked to publish. You hear the publish or perish quite a lot. but we weren't really provided much formal training in how to do that. And so I found myself as a PhD student and subsequently as a postdoc really having to learn quite a lot and spend a lot of time my own figuring out the publishing system. So one of the first training workshops I launched was an introduction to publishing, to tell people just about the process, timelines, what to expect, the peer review process, things like that, just to give people an overview of what to expect. And then I realized there was more of a demand for writing workshops and writing retreats. I'd been on a number of those kind of things before as well when I was a researcher. So I started doing those too. And I thought it was a really great way to bring researchers together, not only to learn something new, but also to meet each other as well and get the opportunity to keep kind of building their network and meet other people in the research community who had similar challenges and were at a similar career stage to them. And so it's something that worked really well, and both online and in person, really.
Yeah, in fact, because I have to say that what I saw in my experience, but I think this is a bit something that happens everywhere. I mean, being also in a university that is so international, you see how we come from different backgrounds. We study in different universities originally, and there is even if it is so important, the writing, the publishing, we are not formally trained. So if we study biology, for sure we do all of us a course in biology, but so no one tell us formally how to write and also how to publish the data, how to organize the data in the proper way. So I completely...
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I understand this point, and sometimes depends on the supervisor that you have when you do your research experience. So if you are lucky
Sure,
enough,
so everyone's totally different. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, everyone's totally different. And exactly as you say, that, you know, writing a research paper isn't just, you know, just writing down some text. It's something that takes a long time. In fact, on average, more than 3 months for you to write a research paper. And it's so much more than just writing. It's analysis, it's putting together figures. You know, it could be using software for statistics that you've got to learn. So there's so many other different aspects to it. And especially if English isn't your first language, and as you say, research is so international, that's even harder because you've got to write it in something that isn't that language maybe you're as used to using. The advent of AI is maybe helping a little bit with that, with generative AI. That's a whole other discussion, perhaps. But yeah, absolutely, it's a challenging area.
Yeah, but yeah, and anyway, AI, I have to say that I think as all of us, we are just exploring more recently. I understand that you need to have a bit background about that, also to recognize if it is the things are written properly. So, even if you want to get that help, you need. I think a solid background, but also so you just to understand how you started this kind of these training courses. In this way, I learned also how someone can start to train people about this topic. How it was easy to expand from University of Edinburgh to other university? How it was the expansion?
No, so that's a really good question. It wasn't easy. So it's a really good question. And while I was a postdoc, I'd had the opportunity to do some training on a bit like train the trainer, if you like. So I was being trained on how to be a lecturer, how to deliver classes. I'd done quite a bit of teaching. And the university at the time had quite a structured program available for members of staff. So I went through some of those courses, which was very helpful in the outset while I was way back when I was still a postdoc. I also did quite a lot of teaching and demonstrating tutoring while I was in my academic career as well, supervising undergraduate and master's students. And all of those things really helped me quite a lot to gather the experience, and also to see that I liked it and that I actually found this like really fun. So that was one thing. I'd also, on the sort of business side, so that's on the education and the training side, and on the business side, my PhD supervisor, who you know, Manuela, because you worked for him as well, he had 3 spin-out companies over the course of several years, and I got the opportunity to work with some of them, and that gave me a real insight into how spin-out companies happen and how the commercial side of things happen. And I also found that really, really interesting. Now, I'm not a high growth spin-out myself in my company, but it gave me that insight, and it kind of plugged me into an entrepreneurial community that I still have many friends in today. And it really got me thinking, well, maybe this is something that I could do myself. So that's what sort of got me started. And the process was quite gradual initially. So I finished my postdoc and started the company a few months later, but I still did a little bit of part-time work with the University of Edinburgh, actually on the entrepreneurship and training side for them. So I did that for a little while, a few years when I was starting up my company, actually. And that was something that just built, the company, of course, built up slowly over time. Very few companies maybe get thousands of clients in their first year, maybe some do, but it is a gradual process. You have to establish yourself in the field, and by field I mean having a company, and you have to get to know people, tell them what you do. You get them to, of course, they have to trust you and get to know you, and all these things take a lot of time. Then they will maybe commission you in to do something, and it goes very well, then you get to do more, and word of mouth spreads, and so more people know that you're doing this. But it really is a process that does take years a lot of the time to build a business, so it requires quite a bit of patience. And of course you have to learn so many other things as well, not just how to actually do your business and deliver training, of course, which I've sort of been fairly good at right from the start, but also there were all the other aspects that come with running a business, so accountancy, finance, law, setting up a business, all the reporting and other elements that go with that as well. But actually it's quite fun and interesting when you get involved in it after a while.
Yeah. So I have to say, yeah. So I give, I just support a moment what you said before. So yeah, that Joe, PhD supervisor, was actually my boss during my first postdoc. Yeah, it's a person that was that like I think make you think outside the lab. I don't want to say outside the box, but that there is life, stimulating life outside the lab. So even if I did not start a company myself, and I'm at the like, so I'm in a different context, but I think it was very inspiring from this point of view. And so thank you for sharing how you grew up, you built up this business. And so, and which, like besides University of Edinburgh was the starting point, was there a, I don't know, is there a department where, for example, scientific writing or publishing is more, where you find more people interested into that, or outside the university, other universities that are more interested, just to see a difference?
So because everybody has to do it, everyone's interested in it, so it's quite a popular subject, as you can imagine. I mean, Edinburgh University was one of my first clients, but then there were a number of others, initially Scottish, and then quite a few down in the southeast of England as well, became clients early on. But I think because it is something that is so ingrained in the academic process, that publishing and writing, it's something everybody hears about. Even probably your first week as a PhD student, you'll hear you have to publish, it's important, and you probably know that already. And so as a result, there's always quite a lot of demand for it.
Okay.
People needing training in that area.
So, okay, more or less homogeneous as a interest.
Yeah, I'd say
okay.
So. Mm-hmm.
And from the point of view of the topic, is there something that the audience is more interested to learn more about, or no?
People, I would say so. Peer review is always popular. Okay. So I do a peer review workshop anyway, just specifically focusing on peer review.
Peer review for reviewers,
always want to know that.
More or less.
Sorry?
Peer review for reviewers, or to learn about peer review?
So mostly the ones that I do are to learn about peer review, but we do look at it from both perspectives, as the one being reviewed and the reviewer as well, and what their responsibilities are. But yeah, absolutely. There have been, there's more interest in training peer reviewers there has been the last sort of 10 to 15 years. But I think also people are interested in it because it's still a little bit of an unknown process, right? It's still a bit anonymous. We don't always see peer review until we get involved in it, either as the person being reviewed or the reviewer. And you don't usually get invited to review until you're maybe a bit more established as a researcher. So it's something that's a little bit of an unknown. So a lot of people are always quite keen to learn a bit about that. So we do end up talking quite a bit about that. Open access as well is something that still comes up a lot, because we're still we're very, very much in an open access system now, I think, but there's still a little bit of transition going on there, and there's some differences in how different journals do it. And so there's always a lot of questions around that side of things too.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I realized that that also now being from the other side of the papers, yeah, a lot of people do. I mean, I organize within the journal this observers event to know how, to show to people how we work. And yeah, you realize that they don't know really, people, PhD students in particular, early career researchers, they don't know the role of the associate editors. And also, I think in this, what I encourage is sometimes to get in touch with the editorial office, because sometimes, as you say, they don't, the reviewers, it's like people don't know how to become a reviewer, that in reality it's also very useful for researchers. But I always encourage people, just send us an email, tell us your expertise, and we, because, like if the person did not review greatly, on the other side, we can always invite an extra reviewer, so there are ways to, they cannot make a terrible damage since
Sure.
the reviews are read by the associate editors. So it's a system. And the open access, for example, I realized that I work for an open access journal, and so what happens is that sometimes we get transfers from our sister journal that is not open access. People, they don't know that open access journal ask for money to publish the paper. So we always try to tell, because otherwise they feel, I mean, they get the paper accepted, they don't know if they have funding. So yeah, there are a lot of aspects that are still unknown. Yeah, so I think it's very good that you talk about that. And specifically, are your courses are more meant for PhD students? Sometimes are only targeted to PhD students, or you can target anyone that is within interested in.
Yeah, anyone. So I tend to, so the courses, I have different courses for different research stages, if you like. So anything from PhD, even masters sometimes actually, right up to, I've had professors in my sessions. So I do separate, usually staff sessions for postdocs and stuff, and then a separate one for PhD students, and then sometimes a separate one for master's students. So it just depends really what they're looking for. But yeah, quite a lot of interest still in publishing and writing retreats and things like that from postdocs and staff as well, because researchers are writers. I mean, that is what we do. We're effectively professional writers. So it comes in at all different stages.
Okay. Just, I mean, to clarify for the audience, just in case someone else can think, so you are engage with the university, the departments, of course, not by the single student, or the single student is only after is the course, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. It's usually through the university or the department or doctoral training center or something like that. And I have also run independent ones though in the past.
Okay.
So during the pandemic, for example, for a few years after that, actually, I ran independent online sessions. So I'd run my courses and anybody could sign up for them. And just for, obviously a small fee. But yeah, I did that for a number of years, and still may do more of that I didn't do it this year. But I may do more of that. But I was doing quite a lot of courses throughout the year.
Well, I will add I will add to the description of the video the link to
Sure.
Electv. So just in case someone may have a question about that, if you are open to to be contacted at this point, I think could be good. And so, sorry, just going back to the topics. I asked you about the most requested or interesting topics, but I don't know if the answer is the same. Did you find, based on the audience interaction, point gap points in the publishing that you think? I don't know if, as I said, the answer is different from the most interesting topics to cover for the audience.
So what are the most interesting topics to the audience?
No, I'm interesting. I asked you before, so that's why I was saying interacting with the audience of your courses, are there particular gaps in the knowledge about publishing that you see, that you noticed so far?
Yeah, it's a good question, because people kind of come to it, if it's for PhD students, for example. So some people are maybe a second or a third year PhD, maybe already been a co-author on a paper, whereas some people are first year and they're in their first 2 months and they haven't even thought about publishing yet. So it can be a little bit of a range sometimes. Particular gaps and things that they don't. So I try to cover most of it, but I mean, AI is something people ask about a lot at the moment. I do a separate workshop on AI, but I integrate it into some of the other ones as well. But there's also, I mean, certain things that people don't know about. The expectations of the process and timelines are always a bit of a surprise to people, that it can take so long to publish a paper with all the different stages, not just peer review, but all the different stages. So that's something we often talk a bit about. But yeah, I would say maybe that and AI at the moment.
Okay.
If that answers
the
your
AI
question.
yeah. Just to say, like, the questions, as I said, in gap in knowledge from what you from your perspective. Okay. Okay. So it's like, because it's interesting to see what people are eager to learn and what they don't know from what you see. And so just from the perspective of your role, which is then your advice for people that would like to provide something like a service like that, like training about this topics.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're a postdoc or a PhD student and it's something you're looking at in future, I'd say just try and get some experience in doing something like this now, whether it's teaching publishing or even anything else. Just get some experience in teaching and training first, see if you like it. That's always the first thing. And if you do, then maybe it's something you can think about, okay, what do I really want to provide a workshop or a session or a lecture or a course on? Maybe see if you can offer it through your department first or through the university first. And so I would say that's a good way to get started, to see if you like it before going the completely independent route. So use what you can where you are at the moment.
Okay. So basically also start.
That's kind of what I did anyway.
Yeah. No, I totally get, because the starting point is to know if you like to train, to teach. So of course, and then anyway, the topic of the publishing in theory should be quite familiar for the for researchers. So no, I'm asking this. I have to say, for the audience, I asked to Joe this question a bit more for like to learn myself about this aspect, although I feel myself I'm a bit far, even if I did some teaching, demonstrating, tutoring, I don't know, I'm still quite far from there, so to put in standby these ideas, but I think it's useful to know. I thought it was very interesting to see the approach to the world of scientific publishing, academic publishing, from your perspective, creating this business where you train, because I think a lot of people think to approach this world more from the editor point of view, while if you like to learn more, or to spread the information about this world, can be also your route a great option. So thank you very much, Joe, for your time and the audience. And okay, I'll add details of your business under in the description of the paper, and if anyone has questions for Joe, can I think write in the comments. I can highlight to Joe, I can pass any questions to her. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much, Manuela.
Thank you for the availability. Bye.
Thank you very much for watching this video, and a special thanks to Jo for her time and for sharing her experience. If you would like to hear more about the world of scientific publishing, please subscribe to this channel Science.manuela, like this video and share it with your friends and colleagues that are interested in learning more about the world of academic publishing and writing. Bye!